Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today I'm bringing you my top 5 credit earners. So by that I mean these are my top 5 ships that I go to if I need to earn a little money, which I don't right now because when you're a YouTube channel that revolves around reviewing premium ships and you have to play premium ships for weeks at a time, you tend to come by a little bit of credits. So this list is also ships that are currently available, so ships that have been removed from the armory or the premium store will not be on this list. So these are all ships you can go to, and as of February 24th, 2020, they are all currently available in the armory for you to purchase, or in the premium store for you to purchase, or in the armory for you to exchange for any amount of resources. So let's go ahead and get going. At number 5, we have the Tier 7 Premium American Destroyer, light cruiser, Atlanta. So the Atlanta, she's the original HE spammer, and she is still a very good HE spammer, which means she is very good at racking up insane amounts of damage. Now, the reason she's at number 5 is because she's a bit harder to utilize than some other HE spammy ships. She has American HE, which we all know what that means. It's very floaty, very slow, and you have to lead your target like crazy in order to accurately hit said target. Now, when you're fighting battleships, it's not that hard, especially since with AFT, her range is only like 13-ish kilometers, so they're relatively close to you. And at Tier 7, most of the battleships there aren't that fast, save for the Geneisa now and the Leon. But ships like other ships that battleships that you'll see, the October Revolution, the Colorado, the New Mexico, and a couple others, they're fairly slow. And plus, it's a battleship. It's not going to be going any faster than 30 knots at Tier 7 anyway, so you'll be okay. Now, Atlanta's also very good at dealing with destroyers, at least with me, at least. Again, I'm not that good of a cruiser player, but if a destroyer is within like 6-7 kilometers, they're absolutely dead. Anywhere out or further than that, you're going to have to be leading your shots a lot, and if you play Atlanta or if you play American destroyers a lot, you'll probably be perfectly fine in the Atlanta. And when she gets up to Tier 9, it does suck, but that's when you can earn most credits, because there's a modifier when you're fighting ships of a higher tier than your ship. You get a bit of a boost to your credit and XP income. So if you're in Atlanta and you're in a Tier 9 game and you have, let's say, an FDG to farm off of, that's going to earn you a fair bit of change. And the thing is, Atlanta gets its damage through mostly fires. So if you set more than a couple fires on a FDG, which isn't that hard, trust me, I've been on both sides of setting the fires on the FDG and being the poor FDG that's being set on fire. Atlanta is still very good at that, even though she is an older premium, but still a very good premium, and she is still currently available in the store, so I recommend you go get her if you need a bit of credits. So moving on to number 4, we have the Tier 8 Premium Soviet battleship, the Lenin. So the Lenin is basically a Nelson that had a little bit too much vodka to drink. She has 9 16-inch guns. They're in the all for the superstructure configuration, and she gets Soviet AP and Soviet HE and Soviet shell ballistics. So Lenin is fantastic at doing insane amounts of damage to whatever you are fighting. And Lenin's still pretty good even when she gets up to Tier 10. And again, just like Atlanta, when you get up to Tier 10, you have that modifier on. So when you're punishing the broadsides of Yamis, Montanas, Kremlins, and whatever other Tier 10 ships you may encounter, you're getting a boost to your credit earnings as there. And again, it's a Soviet battleship with Soviet shell ballistics, so she packs one hell of a punch. Now, Lenin is this far back on the list because she does have a couple of big downsides. Her sides are absolutely just made of tissue paper. If anything with somewhat large guns catches your sides, you are going to feel it, and it is going to hurt. Plus, Lenin has basically no AA. And, it's really just like nothing. Carriers can have their way with you. Your fighter plane, I don't know if they didn't train the pilots correctly, or their plane just explode the second they take off. But the fighter plane in the Lenin is an absolute joke. It does basically nothing every time I try to use it. So, yeah, and in the current stage state of carriers being in about every third tier 10 game, and fairly often in tier 8 games as well still. It's not that fantastic of a ship to be in when you're in a carrier game. And with the upcoming matchmaking changes where they are going to normalize carrier attendance in higher tier games, which means there's going to be more carriers in games regularly, it's going to be kind of rough. But still, when you can get those broadsides, and even not the broadsides, the shells are just accurate because they are Soviet shells and they have the Soviet gimmick. Closer you are to the target, more accurate they're going to be, more damage you're going to do. Great premium, recommend you get it, even though it does have some pretty big downsides. If you just stick with an AA buddy or stick with the main group, you'll be fine and you can still do a lot of damage. Moving on now to number 3. We have the tier 7 premium British battleship, the Nelson. So yes, the Nelson, who in all regards, the Lenin is technically better than the Nelson, but because the Nelson's a tier 7 with 16-inch guns, that makes her better. Because you can be in tier 5 games and have 16-inch guns, where you can overpin the bows of everything. And the Lenin can see tier 6 games where it can do that, but the Nelson, you know, still tier 5 to tier 7, that's a bit of a bigger power gap. And plus, the Nelson has British HE and British AP. So her British HE means her HE is very, 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 very good. As you're seeing in the clip, I'm not sure what part of the clip I'm going to show you, but at the beginning of this game, I like triple Citadel. I think it was a Japanese cruiser. No. It was the Italian cruiser. One of I think the tier 7 Italian cruiser. I like triple Citadel that thing with HE and set I think like 2 or 3 fires on it. So HE is pretty potent in the Nelson. And plus you do have 16-inch guns with British BB AP, which means against cruisers, it's very, very, very good when you catch their broadsides because you won't overpin it as much, and they're still 16-inch guns, so they do insane amounts of damage. Now, the Nelson's downside is that it can be pinned by anything with guns that are bigger than 380 millimeter, but you do also get a super heal to offset that. I mean, if they Citadel you, it still unrepairs, 10% of the damage, but through normal pins, which you will eat a fair amount of normal pins of the Nelson, she can more than handle herself with her super heal. But her main damage dealers are the HE, and I mean, honestly, if you have Nelson, which I do recommend you get Nelson, it's available for free XP on the British tech line. Honestly, you can literally just throw HE in the ship and you will be fine. The amount of damage you will do is insane. I think in the match that you are watching now, by the end of it, I had set upwards of, I think, like 13, 14 fires in one match. I wasn't even firing that much HE. I was switching back between HE and AP the entire match. So, yeah. She's a good fire starter. Her 16-inch guns means that you can still use AP, even though it does have the short British fuse, and still get fantastic pins off of ships because of her placement in matchmaking. And her AA, again, isn't that fantastic, but I think it's like slightly better than Lenin. That, and it doesn't see, well, it does see tier 8 carriers every now and then, but it doesn't have to fight against tier 10 carriers like the Lenin does. So it feels a little bit better than the Lenin in that regards, but I feel like she still is, again, the better damage dealer overall because of her British HE. And again, with her matchmake, with her tier, she was slightly better matchmaking in my opinion. So again, get the Nelson, great ship. They haven't even mentioned that it's even going away anytime soon, so it's probably going to be here for all eternity. And again, it's a free XP ship, so it's potentially a completely free premium. So take that and do with it what you will. All right, moving on to number 2. We have the tier 10 Soviet cruiser Smolensk. Yes, we all know and love the Smolensk. The queen of HE spam currently. And I mean, I cannot deny that Smolensk is an amazing damage dealer. You have 16 guns that fire in 4 seconds flat if you build for it. You get torpedoes that are quite decent and have a range up to 8 kilometers, hydroacoustic search, AA that basically ensures no CV will ever touch you, and smoke too. So Smolensk is pretty easy to use. Anyone can just pop smoke and burn away. And if you go a little bit more advanced and, do some island camping and some kiting, you can quite easily rack up the damage points very, very, very quickly in the small. And again, she doesn't do her damage like the Atlantis through pin, she does her damage through fires. And she's very, very good at setting fires when you're throwing 16 HE shells every 4 seconds. If you have a Adrenaline Rush, you can, of course, as you take damage, get that down to, I think I got mine down to like 2 seconds flat. Not 2 seconds flat, like 2.8, 2.9 seconds. I think I was at like literally like 10 health once. That's another thing about the Smolensk too, because their armor is so bad, and actually it's getting worse. It's actually they call it a nerf, but it's actually going to be a buff to the Smolensk, kind of. Battleship shells, unless they're at extreme ranges, or the Thunderer, or, well, any British battleship, they go right through you. I mean, you do take damage from overpins, but they don't outright delete you. Like in the Atlanta, she gets more often than not deleted when you catch her broadside, but Smolensk, because the shells are so big and the armor is so thin, most of the time they just pass right through her. Unless they're firing HE, then you're kind of screwed. So you do have that kind of forgiveness from the Smolensk, and she has a heal too, so you'll be around for longer. But overall, very good damage dealer. You can easily get 150, 170,000 damage games in this ship. If I'm not even in cruiser main, and I don't play Smolensk that often, and it's still very easy for me to do 120, 130,000 damage every game in the ship, which does more often than not net me quite a bit of income, because again, she's a tier 10 reward ship, still a premium ship, just a premium ship by a different name. And she is being removed from the armory in I think one more month. I think 9.3 she's getting removed, or 9.4. I think it's 9.3. So you still have another month to get her. She's available for coal, so if you want to get her, you got one more month left to do that. Alright, and number 1, we have the tier 9 premium French battleship, the JeanBar. So I've said this time and time again, JeanBar right now is currently the queen of credit farming. She is a Richelieu that has been up tiered to tier 9. Her Sigma and dispersion has been improved, and she has the reload booster for her main battery guns, and she has better secondaries and better AA than the Richelieu. Other than that, she's completely the same as the Richelieu. She's actually slightly slower than the Richelieu, but she does have the speed boost. When you pop the speed boost, she actually goes the base speed of the Richelieu, so there's that. So the JeanBar with her French 15-inch gun, she has very good pins. They're very accurate for a battleship, and with the reload booster, you can get a reload down to under 10 seconds if you have Adrenaline Rush. When you get down to the lower third of your health or fourth of your health, and you pop the reload booster, you have like a 7 to 8 second reload time on those 8 15-inch guns, which means you can put some hurt downrange really quickly. And with that reload booster, when you're in a battle-taking situation versus another battleship, and you switch over to HE, you can set up quite a few fires in not a whole lot of time with that reload booster. And again, she's very good at doing damage, not so much through HE but through AP, because if you catch a battleship broadside, it takes them well over 30 seconds to turn fully away from you, again depending on the battleship. And when you pop that reload booster, you can pump at least 2 rounds of your full salvo into their broadside, and that is going to hurt like hell for them. She's also pretty good at dealing with destroyers, because again, she has very good secondaries, and plus with HE, with that reload booster, yeah, you're going to be blapping destroyers quite easily. Now her downside is, of course, it's a tier 8 hull at tier 10, so she has less hit points, and it is fairly squishy. Because imagine being up tiered in a Richelieu, it's the same hull, but just your artillery is better. Other than that, it's the same thing. So she is quite squishy, doesn't get any type of special heal or anything to deal with that. So that is her main downside. And again, her turrets are all in front of her superstructure. She only has 2 of them. And the way you'll be battle taking most of the time in the JeanBar, they're going to get knocked out quite a few times. I had a really awkward situation where I had both main turrets completely destroyed. I was basically just an AA barge and secondary platform for the rest of the match. And there's still like 4 or 5 minutes left in the game too. So yeah, that can happen, and probably will depending upon what you're tanking against. But again, JeanBar is unfortunately leaving the armory and the store in 9.3 with the Smolensk. So again, you can outright buy the JeanBar. She's $75. I gave one away to Drobot last week for the 8,000 subscriber special. So I do recommend you go buy JeanBar before she leaves. And again, $75 is a lot to spend on one ship, but I promise you guys, if you buy the JeanBar, you will never have a credit problem again in this game. I mean, you're pretty much paying to not have a credit problem. And if you're planning on sticking around for some time in this game, it's totally worth it, in my opinion. Alright guys, those are my top 5 credit farmers. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. What are your top 5 credit farmers, or what is the ship that you go to if your wallet's feeling a little light? Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. We are going for our push to 10,000 subscribers now. We passed 8,000 subscribers not that long ago, and I decided that we are just going to go ahead and try to get to 10,000 as quick as we can. We're doing a fantastic job of that already. We are under 800 subscribers away from 9,000, and then once we get to 9,000, we'll only be 1,000 away from 10,000. Alright, you guys are awesome for that. Again, thanks again for watching. I hope to catch you guys in the next one.